Hey everyone, hello and good morning. I am Cooper with Microsoft. I am here at NFM in the beautiful and extremely hot Dallas, the Colony location. Thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate you taking the time to learn a little bit more about Microsoft. Make sure throughout the live stream here, you are sending in your questions. I will get them here on my phone, so I will look them over, make sure I answer any questions you guys have to make sure you get what you need here. But as I mentioned, I will be covering all things Microsoft. And Microsoft is a pretty broad statement, right? You see a lot of things from Surface devices to Windows devices that maybe aren't Microsoft branded. And then we even have things like Microsoft 365, which is that productivity suite. So we're going to cover a little bit of all of that. We're also going to see some demos. I'll kind of talk through some new features, some new products, and what you can see with kind of the new lineup within Microsoft today. So I want to go ahead and start talking about Surface products. So recently, Microsoft launched their new devices, which is Surface. We see a new Surface Pro and a Surface Laptop. What's the difference? We'll get to it here. So here we have the Surface Laptop. And if you are someone who likes to do maybe video editing or maybe 3D modeling, or even things like Microsoft 365, standard productivity, this device is going to be for you. So these new devices really add to the higher end, the more performance end of the Surface lineup. So we're really going to get some heavy hitters with these. These are going to be high powered, able to handle more graphical work, and then anything that really weighs heavy on the device. So these are going to be, again, more premium. And premium isn't just a word for aesthetics sake. Premium is really in the performance of the device, and it's really in the look as well. This is the Surface Pro. This is going to be the more entry-level model. I wanted to give you kind of a look at our different options here. But when we look at the new products, the real difference from the old and the new is really going to be on the inside of the device. So when we talk about Surface, the heart, or I guess we could say the brain of these devices is going to be with Snapdragon. So Snapdragon is the chip that is inside. The previous models were the Snapdragon X series, and the newest version is going to be the Snapdragon X2. So it's just kind of that step up there. And the way that Microsoft and Qualcomm measures the performance of these chips is through something that we say TOPS, which is trillions of operations per second. So when you think of trillions, it's not millions, it's not billions, it's trillions. So we're getting a lot of performance out of these devices. With the previous models, we had somewhere around 45 trillion operations in a single second. But these new devices are actually almost going to double that and be at 80 trillion operations per second. So again, heavy work is going to be able to be done on these PCs. If you're someone who really likes to test, how far these PCs can go, these are going to be the devices for you. But I want to take a second and kind of just look at the quality of the devices, because as I mentioned, premium comes in multiple different forms, right? So Surface is really built to be durable. It's built to be lightweight. So as you can see here, we have kind of this aluminum body. This is milled from a single block of recycled aluminum, so you can kind of get those smooth edges, those nice rounded corners, and it just kind of feels lightweight. You can imagine kind of throwing it in your backpack or carrying it to class, things like that. And then when we open it up, I want to show you how quickly and responsive the device is. So we saw that kind of instant power on feature and how fast the device responds to just simply opening the device. And then we go into it, and here we have the screen here. We're going to have a 3:2 aspect ratio. So all this really means is you're going to get more vertical space, since most of the scrolling is done up and down, documents, web pages, things like that. If we want to go ahead and test drive this PC, we can see some of these demos here. All of these are going to be touchscreen as well. It has pixel sense display, so you're going to get those richer darks and those lighter brights. As I mentioned, all of these are touchscreen, so we can go ahead and just tap these little butterflies here, see that these devices are touchscreen. And then if we want to move down to the keyboard here, we're going to have a backlit keyboard, and you can adjust the brightness and the dimness depending on what kind of setting you're in. And then we're also going to see things like the Windows key and the Copilot key. So these keys are really a great way to integrate the hardware and the software and kind of make it seamless in the productivity in your workflow. So if we click something like the Windows key here, it pops up all of our applications for quick use and easy access. Even things like documents will appear here based on what you've opened recently and what you're currently working on. And then if we click on the Copilot button, that automatically brings up Copilot, which is the AI assistant. It kind of makes it easier to use it and integrating it into your workflow by integrating it into the deck. So that way you don't have to take your hands off the keyboard while you're working. You can just simply tap the Copilot button and it pulls up Copilot, your automatic assistant there. And so I'm going to go back to the screen here. And as I mentioned, Snapdragon is really going to be the heart of this lineup, and where that performance and the kind of upgrades are going to come in these devices. So I just showed you the Surface laptop here, and we can go over to the Pro. So this device is going to kind of serve the same purposes, kind of depending on the version and the model you get. You can kind of come across and do different things. But this is going to be for those people who want kind of that tablet functionality, because this does disconnect from the keyboard. So it has the tablet functionality, but the performance of a PC. So you kind of get the best of both. If you want a tablet and you want to interact with the screen, maybe use a pen, write handwritten notes, or you're creative and you want to draw, this is going to be the device for you. You can kind of hold it in your hand. It's flexible with this kickstand in the back, so you can use it in multiple workspaces. So if you're maybe a field worker or take your PC on the go to different job sites, that is going to be the device for you. Great, and so both of these devices are actually, or all Surface devices are going to be running Windows 11. And that's kind of the bridge between Surface, Microsoft, and then over to Windows. So most of the devices, or all of the devices today, whether it's Microsoft, whether it's Lenovo, or whether it's HP, they're all going to be running Windows 11, which is our newest version of our operating system. And if you come into NFM and look at the products, you will see a lot of them have this Windows key and the Copilot key. And it's a great way to kind of integrate Copilot and the productivity aspect of Windows. And Windows kind of spans across multiple different brands, like I mentioned, and multiple different use cases. So if you're not going to be using a ton of AI, or you're not going to be doing heavy productivity, you can just simply find a device that works for you. There are multiple brands, multiple chipsets, and multiple different options for you, kind of depending on how you will use your device. So I definitely recommend coming into NFM, talking with some of the employees here. The sales guys are super helpful. They really know their stuff. I've worked with them and trained some of them, so they really know what they're talking about, and they can help find the right device for you. Windows is also the home of the gaming PC. and that kind of extends to gaming laptops as well. So if you're, say, a student that likes to game after maybe long study sessions, and you want a device that kind of does both, Windows has options for you and available for that use case. And then, again, Copilot in Windows, so AI is being a little more integrated into some of these devices. So if that's something that you include in your workflow, then that is an option for you. I want to check some questions here. What colors do they come in? So we're going to see some black, we're going to see platinum, and then for the 13.8 inch of the Surface laptop, we're actually going to see a new jade color, which is this great green, a color we haven't seen before, and that is only going to be in that 13.8 inch. And then for the Surface Pro, we're going to see, kind of depending on the version you get, we'll see platinum, we'll see black, and then we'll even see like a purple that you see here back in the back. So multiple different colors, kind of depending on the size of the screen and the chipset. What storage sizes are offered? Again, kind of an array here. So depending on what you need, we'll go anywhere from 256 all the way up to 1 terabyte. Again, kind of depending on the screen size and the version that you get. Good questions. Okay, great. Now I think it's time that we can get into some demos, and we will start with some Windows demos here. And the first one is going to be how to use Copilot in Edge to study and to even quiz you to study for an exam. Great. So this shows us how to use Copilot in Edge browser. So we have up a study guide PDF with some information in it, and we can ask Copilot to help us break down that information. So when we open Copilot here in Edge, it will use the context of our tabs to produce its answer. So as you can see, it'll give us all of these bullet points here to help us better understand, and even gives us some suggestions at the end to help us out even further. For instance, it suggests we build a 10-question active recall quiz. So we're going to go ahead and ask it to create that quiz. And here you see the information in the study guide. It uses that and even uses this widget to help us more effectively and efficiently study. Great. So you can kind of see how quickly you can integrate this into your workflow. In Edge, you kind of saw Copilot right up there in the top right, easily accessible, and a great way to kind of speed up your workflow, especially for a student. It's a great way to integrate it into your studies to kind of give you a more consistent way, and almost like a study partner if you don't have one. Great. Now on to gaming. So I have an Xbox mode demo. So if you get a gaming PC, a lot of them will come with an Xbox mode where you can take your Xbox controller and use it to control what's on the screen. All right, so as I mentioned, if you will use your PC for gaming, this will show us how to use game mode with Xbox. So if you have your Xbox controller connected, you just click the Xbox button in the middle and turn on game mode. From here, we can see all of the different games that we have available to us in our library. So we can go ahead and click on the game that we want to play and jump right in. So here we'll see some gameplay. Now, if you can play, if you do plan to play maybe more heavy games, like heavy graphical games on your PC, it is recommended to play on a gaming PC. As I mentioned, some of these devices don't withhold when playing games on it. So now if we want to switch back to Windows Desktop, we can do that easily and then get back into our PC. So I think that is great. I was a student once and I loved gaming as well. Sometimes I would, bring it into coffee shops after I studied and just have that controller in my backpack as well. So it makes gaming a little more mobile. Or if you're someone who travels for work and want to, game on your off time in your hotel, that's, another great option. All right, now on to the next one, which is Phone Link. So this will show how you can connect your phone to your PC, making transferring files a lot easier. All right, here we'll show you how to use Phone Link to connect your cell phone to your Windows PC. So here we have up a study guide similar to what we had before. We're reviewing, and we also see that our study group is communicating with us, so we can go ahead and just respond directly into the chat. And if we wanted to share that file, all we have to do is pull up Phone Link, drag and drop that into the Phone Link app, and then we can open up our phone, go into our Files app, and it'll be right there, readily available to us in case you wanted any files on the go. Or again, like I mentioned before, if you're a field worker and need to have some of these documents on the go and with you, maybe on a phone, that's a great way to kind of share. You can share documents, you can share pictures, and as you saw, you can also text off of your laptop to integrate kind of more seamlessly into your phone. So that is kind of more Windows specific. But when we get into things like TOPS and trillions of operations per second and NPUs, so that can get pretty technical, but there are some pretty standard use cases where we can integrate AI into some of these devices. So I do want to show you some more technical aspects with some AI PC demos. So these you won't be able to do on all of these devices. It has to specifically be an AI PC to have some of these experiences. So keep that in mind when you're coming in store or shopping online. Make sure you are aware of what kind of PC you're getting to make sure that if you do want these devices, it does run these experiences. So we're going to go ahead and look at something called Click to Do. All right, so this demo will showcase how to use Click to Do, which is essentially an AI feature that analyzes the information on screen and allows us to take the next action using Copilot AI. So here we have a document about upcycling. Say we want to maybe get into a new hobby. So this document includes some pictures and lots of text. So to interact with these elements on the page, we're going to hold the Windows key and left click, and that will take a screenshot of everything on the screen and allow us to interact with those specific elements. So if we want to use this image, we can click on it and see that we get multiple different options. So things like visual search with Bing, removing the background and editing it in photos, and even more. So now if we click on this wall of text, we have other options specific to text. So things like summarize or rewrite. So here we are seeing the summarize feature, which will really help us make the information a little more concise and digestible to help us with productivity overall. That is one of the features that I love specifically with these AI PCs. I use one, for my personal use, and if I did not have that click to do feature and maybe I switched to another PC that didn't have that, that is definitely a feature that I would miss. It's something that I've integrated into my workflow and I think is super helpful in the long run. Just makes interacting with elements that maybe you couldn't interact with before, say things in like a PDF that you can't click on. It makes it kind of helpful and easier to move those elements around. All right, now we can move forward to an AI feature called Improved Windows Search. All right, so this is going to be a little less flashy, but it's just as useful. So this is Improved Windows Search, which allows us to find things on our device quicker and easier. So in this demo, we are trying to find a picture to insert into our PowerPoint about incredible cityscapes. Now, oftentimes when we quickly save files, they are saved under random file names, and searching for them becomes essentially impossible. So Improved Windows Search helps us sort through files easily using keywords. So we can just simply go into the search bar and type what we're looking for. So in this case, cityscapes. And once we find the image we're looking for, we can select it, copy it, and then insert it directly into our PowerPoint. And that essentially saves us a ton of time in the long run, looking for the file, searching for random names. So now Improved Windows Search does span across other functions in the PC as well. And for example, we're going to see here settings. So settings can sometimes be hard to find. So we can use Improved Windows Search to help. So if we wanted to, say, connect headphones via Bluetooth, we can even use natural language and say, add my headphones. And it'll suggest the most relevant results like Bluetooth settings. All right, so getting some questions here. I want to make sure I address these. Is there a touchscreen PC? Yes, so all of these Surface devices are going to be touchscreen, regardless of the model and the size you get. What is the battery life? Again, kind of varies amongst the array, but you can expect anywhere from 15 hours to say 20 to 22 hours. And that again depends on kind of how you use your PC. If we take into consideration a full working day, maybe like 8 hours, you may get 2 days out of these PCs. But if you're only working for small increments of time at a time, then this can last sometimes multiple days depending on your workflow. What is the difference between Copilot in Windows and Copilot in Microsoft 365? That is actually a great question and a great segue into our next section here. But as we saw before, so Copilot in Windows is going to be the Copilot in Edge example where we're studying with the study guide. We saw it in the Edge browser. You could click in the top right and it pulls up Copilot on the side. Or Copilot in Windows can even be something like the Copilot key where we pull up the chat bot here. But Copilot in Microsoft 365 is going to be a little bit different. It's still going to be a similar interface and a similar way to interact with Copilot, but it's going to be different in the fact that it is integrated into some of these productivity apps. So let's kind of start with what those are. So we have a few different options for Microsoft 365. I'm going to come up to the camera here just so you can see it a little better. You'll see these in store if you come in store, but it's just a great way to kind of look at the different options you have. So we have personal, which is going to be one account. This is for anyone who needs it and will be the only person using it. We have family, which has 6 accounts, and then Office Home, which is just a one-time download, a little more limited. So when you get into the personal and the family licenses, you're going to get things like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook app, the OneNote app, OneDrive storage, protection, so security. You're going to get things like Clipchamp for video editing, Designer for photo editing, all those sorts of things. And that is only going to be in the personal and the family license. As I saw, the Office Home license will be a little less productive because you only have options like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and OneNote. So when we talk about Copilot in Microsoft 365, that is going to be integrating Copilot into things like Word, into things like PowerPoint to directly interact and edit documents. And I think it'll be easiest to kind of showcase these in some demos here. So let's look at the Copilot in Word demo to tailor a resume. All right, now I'm going to show how Copilot in Word can help us save time in a job search. So here we have our resume open, and we're also going to open Copilot on the right-hand side there. From here, we're going to upload information, and in this case, it's going to be an internship. And then we'll ask Copilot to tailor our resume to the attached internship and to keep it just to one page. So I'm going to let it do its thing here. And this is all in real time, so you can quickly see how it's kind of working here. And Copilot will then review our experience, compare it to the information in that job listing PDF that we shared, and then optimize our experience to better suit the needs of that application. So there you see it changing. And then it'll give us kind of a summary of what it changed. And if we're happy with the results, we can go ahead and just click Done. And then it'll save our changes from there. And applying to multiple jobs can be, really time consuming, especially if you want to, better your chances by tailoring your resume to each application. So with Copilot, that whole process just becomes a lot easier and a lot less time consuming. And so that's Copilot in Word. And as I mentioned, it kind of expands to other aspects of Microsoft 365 as well. And a pretty tough application to learn is Excel. You have a lot of formulas. The interface is pretty vast, right? So for those who aren't familiar with Excel, Copilot is a great assistant to help integrate some more functionality into your spreadsheets. So in this case, we are going to have the example of editing a travel trip based off of a budget that you currently have in Excel. So let's go ahead and look at this demo. That Excel sheet. So as I mentioned, you don't need to be don't need to be an Excel expert or know how to do pivot tables and run charts based off of data. You can just ask Copilot to do it for you, and it will go ahead and make your job a whole lot easier. And so the prize that we are giving out today for your comments are actually going to be the Microsoft 365 family license. And what this is going to be 6 people, 1 to 6 people, kind of depending on how many people you want to share this with. But only the primary account holder is going to have access to Copilot. So if you are the one that signs up and you are the one that opens up the license, you will have access to Copilot within those productivity apps, as you just saw. The other 5 people will not have that same access, but they will still have access to things like standard Copilot that they can just chat with, or Copilot in Excel that's integrated directly into the web browser. All right, let's look at some questions here. Why wouldn't I just buy Office Home one time and have it forever instead of the yearly license? So this is actually a great question and almost kind of a trick question, right? So they ask Office Home one time and have it forever. So theoretically, yes. Say I buy this device here and I buy Office Home and I install it on this PC. That is actually a one-time install. So as long as I have this device, I will have that version of Office Home. So if I want to upgrade my device, I will have to buy a new version of Office Home. And again, it's more limited as well. So if you want more functionality within your Microsoft 365 license and all those Copilot features and the additional applications, the license is where you want to sit with family and personal. But if you only need Word, Excel, PowerPoint for the life of your device, that is the way you would want to go. Great question. I get Microsoft 365 through school. Why should I get a personal account? This is another great question. So oftentimes, schools don't allow Copilot usage just for kind of AI sensitivity. And if you're someone who wants to integrate Copilot into your workflow, you would need to get your own personal subscription to use those functions. Or if you're someone that likes to separate school and personal, maybe you're working on personal projects, that is also another reason for you to get your own license. Another good question. Does it connect to your phone? Yes, we saw the phone link. It's very accessible to the phone. You can send messages. You can access things directly from your phone and send files and images back and forth. Does Microsoft 365 work on non-Windows devices? Yes, it does. So all of these Windows devices will work on Microsoft 365. If you get a Mac or an Apple product, it will work on Mac and Apple, HP. You will have some version of Microsoft 365 available to you on those devices. When we look at devices like Apple devices, we do actually optimize Microsoft 365 for that specific device. So lots of great options. You can use Microsoft 365 anywhere, and that is available with both the desktop applications and the online applications. For Microsoft 365 family license, does each account get 1 terabyte of cloud storage? So great question, actually something I missed before. With Microsoft 365, you do get cloud storage available to you. Each account gets 1 terabyte, so 1,000 gigabytes of cloud storage. So when you look at your device and you have, say, 256 gigabytes of storage, you will have 1 terabyte of storage additional on top of that to store files and photos. I like to do it with my phone, so I use PhoneLink, transfer all my pictures to my cloud storage. That way I have more storage on my phone. That cloud storage is vast, so it's not taking up much of that storage. And then I have more storage on my phone, and I still have storage on my PC, so I don't have to keep uploading to my Photos app. So the cloud storage is super helpful, and you can even access things on your phone. If you get the OneDrive app, then you can access all your documents and your photos directly on your phone without it taking up your actual storage. That is a great question. All right, any other questions? Just a reminder, if you do put questions in the chat here, you will be eligible to win Microsoft 365 family license. Cool. Looks like that's it. Thanks everyone for your time today. I hope you learned a lot more about Microsoft, about the new products. I would definitely recommend coming in, checking out the new Surface devices for yourself, seeing if that's something that would fit into your life and into your workflow. Thanks for your time. Have a good day.